Hey, what's up? Let me know you can hear me well. Sorry for being late. I hope the light's not going to be too terrible. Actually, let's see here. Yeah, it should be good. Didn't manage to set it up properly. But first off, I do want to know that the audio is okay. Let me open it up on YouTube and we'll see. Yeah, good. I hear myself. Okay, good, good. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're doing super well. Today, it's going to be a chill one. I will answer a few questions from Instagram and also a few questions, any questions that you have. So just let me know and I'll be happy to. Then with this neat effects, I can show your comments. So I'm happy to do that. Whenever I do just talking, it's much nicer. So Christine says hello from chilly Minnesota, -8 this morning. Wow, that's crazy. So I wonder, should I just take a moment to set up the light in front of me because it'll take a few seconds. Well, I can blabber while I do it. So just 1 second. Let me get it done. Just didn't come prepared this time. I think it may be a hassle. Maybe we'll do it later once it gets dark. But in any case, so let me use here. I have niece here. Says Happy New Year from Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Vespa, how are you? Greetings from sunny Northern California. That's me saying sorry for the delay. MC says, okay, from UK. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah, it's been a while since we talked, so it's 2022. Did I do any? I think I already posted, yeah, one video. So, or maybe two even, because Saturday was also 2022. Let's see. Amy says, good morning. Chuck, how are you, my friend? Good morning. I answered an elaborate response to your email the last time. So yesterday, I believe, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? But hopefully you will read it. It's interesting. It was really interesting for me to read what you said too. Dean, how are you? Good morning. Richard's here as well. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Nancy G, good morning from Akron, Ohio. Ellen, hi, Happy New Year from Milford, Pennsylvania. Drew, how are you? Good morning from Wisconsin. Only -1 here. Do you stretch your watercolor paper? If so, do you have a video on how to do it? Yeah, I don't. So I don't have a video. I never do it. I did see once like a nice video about it, but basically what they did is put it in in the shower, in the not in the shower. In the bath, they just filled it with water and went like that. It looks interesting. Maybe I'll try it once, but I never really cared enough, I guess, to give it a try. My quality is terrible, super grainy, the video. I don't know if it's only on my preview, but it looks really bad. But in any case, we'll deal with it. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know why it's such a low quality, but in any case, probably due to the light. So yeah, so I have a few questions, and then we're back to chat that I just wrote down. I actually did a story yesterday that had some. Let me see, Drew. Let me see if I can find that video to stretch watercolor paper, because I did see there's one. It's like 20 seconds long. It's really good, or something like that. Oh, there's a good one by Blick Art Material, I think, as well. Yeah, no, I would just search YouTube for that. I do see a couple of videos on the topic, but I don't do it. I haven't seen the benefits so far, so I haven't. Yeah, it says that my connection is unstable, but who knows why? Why should it be strong? So yeah, I did a story with asking a question. If you have any questions, and now I can't find it, so maybe I imagined the whole thing and I just didn't do it. I don't know, but I do have some questions from before, so I'd be happy to go over them as well. Aaron, how are you? Hello, Ellen. How are you? You got it, Drew. Sorry, I can't be of more help. If you buy paper that fits you, you don't have to stretch it. Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't know. I'm planning to use gum tape, not staples. Yeah, that's what's so gum tape. I'm not even sure if I know what that is. Let's see, gum tape. Yeah, that's the kind I've been using, but just not the plastic type, but the paper type. If that makes sense. Yeah. That's the same thing I'm using. I never really staple, though I have seen some people staple, and it looks like an interesting process. So I don't know. I may try it in the future. Who knows? So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the last video, kind of sharing what's been on my mind lately. I have produced a few nice works now that I kind of changed phase and try to focus more, I guess, on prioritizing. It's not even necessarily making more time, it's more like prioritizing making art. So instead of opening the day with something else, I'll open the day with the art, which is big actually, because at the end of the day, I get to the end of the day and I figure out I don't have enough time to do the really important stuff. So it's just about doing it first. Now, if you haven't seen the video, check it out, but I'm sure many of you have. Let's see if I can one question I saved from Instagram if it's interesting. Spider Kite asks, how do you keep up the amazing dedication that you with your art and business? Yeah, it's interesting because that's why I wanted to start with this one, because you have to understand, and I talked about it in that last video. It's really it will ebb and flow. So it really ebbs and flows, which is why this is a good question to start with, because I don't feel like I really keep that. It's kind of just to deal with what comes when it comes. So if you don't feel it as much, you just kind of let go and don't force it. Sometimes it's good to try, but there is a very clear border to me between trying and pushing it too much. So if you feel like something's not working or you don't feel like creating, maybe that's just an illusion. Once you sit down, it will come back. But sometimes you just have to kind of let it go. As for the business, I think a lot of it is just discipline, to be honest with you, and building momentum, which is something big. I talked about it before, but not enough. Building momentum is actually really important. It's something that really does take time. Can take a couple of months. Like right now, I feel I'm in a negative momentum, but still quite productive. So if you are able to be very clear about what you want and be very clear as to how you're going to get it, the plan, which may be not good enough of a plan, right? But at least you have a plan. If you're clear enough on that, then you will be able to, I guess, at least make a list of tasks of things to do and then do them. And if you do that enough, at some point you realize that some of the tasks you've kept doing just aren't as important, aren't as effective, or don't satisfy you as much, right? So you take those out. You don't do that anymore. You bring in new stuff, right? And it's about curiosity and exploring and finding those new stuff that you care about, right? Hey Arthur, how are you? Welcome aboard. So yeah, I'll just say again, thank you so much to anyone who's here. I do want to take any questions you have about watercolor drawing, whatever it is, general stuff, things like the mental side, the business side, whatever it is. I just wanted to do something chill today, not paint, and maybe keep this one around an hour and a half, because I do have still quite a lot of work to do. And sorry, by the way, I was late because I was trying to post a TikTok and it was messing with me real bad. So how can I explain this? So do you know how sometimes you'll see, different kind of graphic effects when you were watching videos, like someone says drop a like and it marks where the like is and it goes like this. So I tried to make one for TikTok and I couldn't place it right in the actual thing. I just couldn't place it in the right spot, which was very annoying. I don't know why it plays around with the format of the video once you upload it. I don't know. It's not as important anyway, but yeah, just wanted to say sorry for being late. So what I think I'll do is I will try and set up the light, because this grainy look is annoying. If you give me just like 30 seconds, and I'll try talking while I do it, but it's going to be from far, so I don't know if the mic will pick up on it, but sorry. I'm going to try. Just because it annoys me a bit. Let's see here. Sorry about that awful sound. Wow. Real close. Hey, White Reza. Happy New Year. Yeah, it's been a while since we talked. I guess. So now the only thing left to do is to turn on the light and actually connect it to my tripod. See, now you see me better. It's much, much better. Hopefully it doesn't flicker, but it did feel like it flickered for a moment. There we go. There's the natural light. So now all I have to do is connect it to the tripod. All of the things I should have done before getting started. But yeah, I was cutting it really close, unfortunately. And I knew that I won't make it on time. But I was just, you know how sometimes you're in the zone and you're unwilling to just move on to the next thing. So yeah, sometimes that happens. Someone asked in a different question, how am I? Which is a great question, actually. So I'm doing well. I have days where it's funny. For me, I don't feel like it's ever really motivation that's waning, or, it does ebb and flow, of course, as I mentioned. But for me, it's not even about motivation. It's more about like clarity. So sometimes I'll just feel like very unclear about what I want to do. And then it's very hard to get started, for example, that day to work when you don't have the clarity you need. Let me move this for a second. Good. And then we'll move this here and we'll tighten that up. And at least you should now be able to see me a little better. Good. That's much better. It was so annoying before. I'm going to get coffee. 1 second. This probably the worst start of a live stream I've had. Now we're gonna be cruising. Hey Alessandro, hey, says hi Ron, happy 2022. Hope everyone will have an inspired year. Yeah, definitely. So just to conclude what I said so far, because it was just a big mess. All I wanted to say was these things come and go. You have to kind of learn to dance with whatever life throws at you. So if you don't feel as motivated a certain day, you're going to have off days, off months, off years, hopefully not, but that can happen as well. So you just got to learn to deal with it, Either you deal through it with action or with understanding and looking inwards. At least that's how I do it. So yeah, I was talking about something interesting and then I forgot from earlier. Let's see here. I was talking about the business. So just that's more a matter of discipline and building that positive spiral. And if you get knocked off of it, it's a matter of, like, again, just taking a few moments off, as much as you need, and then reassessing and really thinking clearly. Now, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have gotten to this place, bear with me, had I not had the ability to preserve that dedication. Because just to get to this point in the business and work took so many hours of grinding and really doing everything and being on all the time. So I think I just have that by now in me. But the beginning of a business, and probably many know this, if you have a business, if you start a business, it's just a lot of grinding. So yeah, it's an interesting point to be in, because on the one hand, I feel like, again, I need to continue optimizing the direction in which I'm headed. But on the other hand, it's a great opportunity because it means I can do something that satisfies me more, And just prioritizing drawing in the beginning was a pretty big deal for me. It's something that really, it seems like it allows me to get the creative juices flowing, and then I feel more motivated to do anything else, right? So, yep. Let's see here. How are you, Lori? Hope everything is well. You saw the light. Yeah. Treza says, good thing about being quarantined after returning from high-risk countries that I can follow the live stream. Oh, awesome. Yeah. So if you want to share, let us know where you've been. High risk these days. A lot of countries are considered high risk, right? I think so. Domo, hey Liron, love to catch a stream for once. Yeah, so happy to have you here, my friend. Always a happy time when you're on board. Richard, Liron, I got so frustrated looking for a suitable reference photo picture last night. I'm still a noob, so it's got to be a pic I can tackle, but also it needs to be a good pic to paint. Am I being too picky? Depending on how long you've been searching for one. If you've been doing it for hours, yeah, I think too picky. What I like to do sometimes is go to Pixabay and filter just black and white. And the reason for that, of course, you can turn any picture black and white if you want to. You can just do it on Photoshop or any other photo editing software, right? But I find that if the picture was taken with the intention of being black and white, it will usually have simpler shapes and simpler forms. Would be simpler to paint. Whereas if you take a picture, you turn it black and white, yes, you make it easier to paint. But on the other hand, it's not going to be as easy as if it was black and white to begin with. Now, I do want to search for a video, Liron, how to simplify course, and then there was the choosing reference. Or you know what? Oh, I think I think it's in the frustration-free watercolor course. I have a really good lesson there on choosing reference photos, talking about clear shapes, strong contrasts, black and white, and I actually scroll through the website. But let me see here if I can find Liron choosing reference. So any of you seen the video? I'm just going to share it again just in case. Make every photo easier to paint. So I believe that's the one where I actually scroll through Pixabay. Yeah. So that's the best video I have on the topic. Honestly, I think it's more important to paint something rather than that thing being, as opposed to finding the perfect thing, right? I think just painting a bad reference photo is better than trying too much to find the perfect one because it doesn't exist, But yeah, it can be tough sometimes. I will have that happen to me just when I'm unsure of what I want to paint, not as much as when I'm looking to practice. Then it's pretty easy for me. Check out the video. I just posted it in the link in the description. You've probably seen it, but I think it will help. Sometimes people need reminders, and I need to remind myself. I don't like to repeat myself sometimes because I feel like maybe it'll bore people. But honestly, who remembers everything everyone says? It doesn't make any sense, So people need to sometimes hear a refresher. Andres Schulz says, "Hey, Liron, Happy New Year. Finally made it to your live stream. Nice. That's a good way to open up 2022. So thank you for being here." Evelina, how are you? Hello, everyone. Happy and creative New Year. Secrets of Design, Happy New Year, Liron from France. Thank you so much. What kind wishes? John says, good morning. Hope everyone is well. I appreciate your last video about for creators and artists. Interesting insights about balancing social. Yeah, definitely. You can feel probably I'm in the process of finding that balance. It's just sometimes honestly, I just want to create content and it's so fun, but I guess it's time to balance it out. Tommy Mordechai, I know you. How are you? Haley Rod, hope you uploaded some new videos of your artwork. Thank you. Will definitely. Here on YouTube, you'll find a ton of them. So yeah, I think my back catalog, honestly, you can watch the videos like no one. I mean, I know, of course, many people have watched everything, right? But for many or most people, you can just continue watching forever, and it's just so much. I think I'm getting close to probably 1,000 videos, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I do believe it's around probably 900 something, I guess. Let's see here. Yeah, 957 videos. So that's too much for anyone to watch. Thank you so much for being here, Tommy. Really appreciate you being here. White Reza backpacking trip in Lapland, Finland. Very inspiring for snow painting. Yeah, definitely. There are some nice buildings there too, if I remember, especially in the more rural areas. Really interesting, Finland. Yeah. Such different views to what I'm used to. Could be really fun to paint such a thing. John, hi Liron, happy 2022 to you and everyone. I hope you're well. Thank you so much, John. Yeah, and I've seen a bunch of messages. Sorry, slow as always, but I'll get to them. I promise. John, for reference photos, do you use Pinterest? Yeah, Pinterest is great too. The only problem with Pinterest is it's great if you're just practicing, but if you want to paint something that you may consider selling in the future, it can be a problem because, Pinterest, most of the things are copyrighted and you can't use for whatever you want. That's why I like to just be on the safe side and work with Pixabay. But that's definitely another option. Thanks, Liron. I've been searching Pexels. Yeah, Pexels is as good as Pixabay, honestly. I found a lot of good stuff there too. I actually found a lot of good videos there. So you know how once in a blue moon I'll make a video that's just me talking and I edit a bunch of videos on top of it. So those stock videos, some of the videos are my process, but many are stock, like drone footage, stuff like that. That I brought from Pexels. Pexels is great for video, actually. So if any of you need B-roll for editing videos, Pexels is really good, actually. Henny, have you painted any Yorkshire scenes, Liron? Not recently, actually, Henny. I'm trying to remember. The one thing I did paint is Tbilisi, which probably a lot of people have seen. I have it here. Let me get it. That's right here behind me. I will show it on Saturday's YouTube video, but that kind of a thing. So it's not really similar. But I do love Yorkshire type scenes and Cornwall and all of those English views and the English weather and the mood. I really like those kinds of things. So yeah, have you been working on one? I haven't seen. I haven't used Instagram as a user for a while now, so I haven't seen any new posts. If you have any, but yeah, let me know. I'll check it out. Arthur, I like the light this time of year. The sun is very low, which can result in beautiful reference photos. Yeah, that is true. Long stretching shadows. That's a really fun thing to behold. Luis says, saludos desde Panama. Thank you so much for being here, Luis. Hope you're doing well. John says, love your amazing painting of the city scene in rickshaw. Yeah, thank you so much, John. Yeah, I'll show both in Saturday's video, because it is a bit of a process still to demonstrate it yet. I feel like I have a lot to learn in that regard, but yeah, I will do more. So Aaron Litton asks a question from Instagram: what is a fun subject to paint but you rarely admit it? So this is actually a good question. A fun subject to paint but you rarely admit it. So I guess the one thing that comes close to that is figurative. Even though I haven't done a lot of figurative painting, it's more anatomy sketches, so it's more with the pencil. But I should try. Wendy Artin has great figurative work, and it did make me at the time want to try it out. So I would say maybe figurative. What else? I think drawing glutes, it's not painting, but drawing glutes, aka butts, was really, really fun. And I don't know, the moment I got their shape kind of down in my mind and how to draw it, like a donut, it's like 2 donuts or 2 tires. It was really fun to paint, actually. So that's funny. I will say that. Art of Prema says, what kind of art is for NFT? Do still have watercolor painting included in it? Yeah, so NFTs are now just mostly illustrative stuff, weird characters, but I definitely think it can work for landscapes, cityscapes, traditional mediums, for sure. It's just a matter of time, really. The thing is, if there is, like as an artist, I guess you ask is mostly, if there is interest in your art, there will be interest in its NFTs, right? So NFTs are not like a magical thing that will make people be interested in someone's art. But if already people are interested, they will be more likely to check out the NFTs too. What I will say is that there are some opportunities, of course, if you're one of the first people to do it. And I started looking into it a bit, and I have one NFT. But it's really tricky because you really need to do it properly to launch it properly. Not necessarily a project with like 500 characters or 500 views, but just one NFT. A lot of it is like knowing where to put it, how to put it, where to promote it, a bit of luck too. But I do think there is a place for it. And if you can be one of the first people to post a lot of these, then I don't know, I guess there is an opportunity there. Something I need to get more into, because I already minted one. I know how it works, and it's up for sale for like a price that's higher than my physical paintings, because NFTs are a little different. So I don't mind putting a bit of a more exorbitant price there. I think it's like 0.555 Ethereum. That's the price I put for it. That's a lot of money. That's like 2 grand, something like that. So yeah. Aaron, oh yeah, I caught my question being answered live. That's really luck right there. I don't know how long have you been here. Let me check if I see a previous message, but that's really lucky because I just got it from Instagram. That's so funny. Chimefti says, I think I've watched 900 of them. My question is, how do you feel about textures, like adding salt and stuff? If I remember right, you haven't tried that on any of your videos. So here's the thing. Here's an interesting one. If I'm not mistaken, on my frustration-free watercolor course, there is a demo I do in Hebrew, and it's a really cool one. I think it makes the course even more worth getting because I speak in Hebrew there and it's subtitles. But I want to check. I think someone there put some salt on my painting, and that's probably the only time I ever show or demo this kind of a thing. Let's see here if I can find it. I'm not sure if I let her actually put the salt in, but let's see here. Yeah, I don't think. Maybe I don't show it, but I remember there was salt. But yeah, I don't do that. I don't have anything against it. I just never really had to use it. Maybe I should try it out. I don't know. If people are curious, I may give it a go. Just to refreshen things up. Maybe I'll search a few tutorials on how to do it, and I'll kind of figure out how to use that effect. Probably could look like something too, like snow or stuff like that. If it absorbs the water in there, it's worth giving a try. Maybe I will. Aaron Litton, key parts of historical art is from the human form. It's beautiful after all. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, figurative art and so on. Definitely. There's a lot of, so the one thing that's really good about figurative is if you light it up properly and you have a dark background, you can create some really beautiful effect. And because of the shape of the body, there is always a mixture of edges. So you'll always get gradual transitions and sharp transitions and sharp cast shadows. So I love that kind of a mix. There's the soft and hard edges. That's a really, really good one. That I always find that's my favorite spot in my paintings, the one that has that contrast. Evelina, I recently started taking photos of myself and friends for reference. Oh, cool. I also take photos of landscapes or scenes myself. Photography and painting are similar as far as composition is concerned. Yeah, for sure. I just want to jot down a note here. There's definitely a lot of similarities, and I will say that the moment I started taking my own pictures, it made a huge difference because then you can set up the crop the way you like it, and when you paint it, it's just ready to go. You don't have to change anything really. Really fun. I would really recommend doing that. Maybe just taking a few pictures around where you live or of a view that you like. If you're taking a trip, maybe take a few old photos if you have them and try and paint the views in them or even the people. That's another good thing for if you find yourself really searching for reference photos and kind of failing to find something that maybe inspires you or makes you want to paint it. Maybe that's the solution. To take your own photos to create the thing that you're missing. That definitely made a big difference in my work. And I will say, for copyright purposes, it's just more fun to know that you took the picture, you painted it, you're responsible for the entire chain of events. Something nice, I guess. Aaron Litton, just a couple of minutes ago, had asked the question a while back. Yeah, definitely. Cool. So really luck. Nancy G, what is this small painting on the wall behind you? So I guess you're referring to this one, right? I actually have a video showing it. So if you talk about this one, let me find it. It's Liron Ken Sugimori art. So I did a drawing, and I can even share a short, so you don't have to. I think I should have a short. But yeah, so I have a video called How to Deal with a Complex Drawing, where I show myself painting that. That's actually based on artwork from Pokemon. So I'm going to just drop a link to that. I should probably write next to the link what it is. Pokemon art. Then I'll drop the link again. Hopefully I'm not spamming my own chat, but yeah. So yeah, that was a fun video to make. It's a complex subject to draw because there's a lot of elements there. There's the character and the Pokemon around the person. So yeah. And if you're talking about, oh yeah, okay, so you're referring to that. And I have this one from the art fair here. And I have this one, Eric from here on YouTube actually painted me from Cafe Watercolor. So that's always a fun one to have in the background. MB, hi everyone. I'm late in working on my in my business. Opening is on Saturday. Oh, cool. So what is it? If you can share more details, MB, let us know. That's a huge cliffhanger. I want to know. So no one asked this question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. I'm kidding. Best way to learn anatomy. To me, that'll be Stan Prokopenko. You should be able to get his anatomy course for $97, and there's a lot of free YouTube videos. But I'll actually plug the anatomy course itself. Let me link directly to that just because it's really worth it. Anatomy of the Human Body, Proko. I personally learned a lot from it. It's not easy. Anatomy course. Really not easy, and maybe there are better ways to begin. He also has a figure drawing course, so check that out as well. But that's the best way, because what he does is he shows you, he has models, they show the muscles and they do the movement, so you can see that when you do this, the bicep grows, as you can see here, because I am working out a bit. And when you do this, you're actually using your triceps, right, to straighten the arm. So you can see the muscles in motion, and then there are 3D models of the muscle. You have everything you could possibly need and want. It's too much information in a way. I paid for it again. I paid more because I bought in a bundle, I think, but like I still haven't finished his anatomy course. It's so long. It's still updating. So I've been doing it for over a year and a half now, and I still haven't finished it. I did finish the figure drawing course and the portraiture course as well. But that's one big course, the anatomy. It shows you have 3D models of the muscles, of the bones, of the rib cage, everything, really everything. Now, if you're talking about not just content, but like materials, educational materials, the best way is to actually sit down and draw multiple times the basic elements, right? So if you try drawing a person, it's going to be really hard because you don't know how everything works, right? But if you start simple, like the Loomis head, like then understanding how the neck works and how it's connected to the head, how it's connected to the rib cage, how the how the it's funny. Thanks, lol. Maybe it's too long of an answer, but the shape, the basic shape of the rib cage from different angles, right? Top, bottom, sides, and then you slowly learn how all of these things connect together. Ruth came back. Hi, Shaquille. How are you? You want to say hi and then run away? Yeah, you can go. But yeah, and then you slowly understand how it all connects together, I guess. But it takes time, and it's going to be repetition of like circular kind of learning. There we go. Boy, shalom, shalom. You want to talk to? You want to sniff the mic? I don't know if you can hear this. Bye. Shalom. Bye. Ali. Yeah, right. Ruth hates the camera, as always. So yeah. So you'll have to go through the cycle a few times. Go over all the muscles, all the bones, and then you'll remember 20%. Then you have 20 is good. Maybe you'll remember 10%, and then you go over it again. That's the only way I found. So yeah, it's tough. Henny, what do you think of Daler and Rowney paper? I find it quite difficult to get flat wash on. Yeah, so I heard that from other people as well. I just never used it, so I can't comment on it myself. My hunch tells me, my gut tells me that if many people say it, it's probably true. I do know it's considered kind of maybe not artist grade, but kind of student grade, maybe somewhere in between. Maybe someone else can chime in and share their opinion. But to me, I never tried it, and I would assume it's not as good. JTMS just joined. Pokemon art, are you an anime fan? Yeah, for sure. I love manga more than anime. I do watch One Piece. Watch means I'm 100 episodes at least behind, but I have a bunch of mangas here on the shelf that I can't really show from this angle, but I'll photo show you. Let me show you what I'm looking at. I never really showed this up close, so I have a bunch of interesting things here. Can I share? I think I should be able to share photo here. Yeah, so let's do this. Could be a kind of 10. I love anime and manga and Pokemon and the trading cards, especially Pokemon trading cards. I have a few here just next to me, as you can see. A few graded ones. I love the Legendary collection. This pattern of hollow is, just this set. They never did it again, and I really like that. So let me see if I can bring up the photo just to show you what I'm looking at here on my shelf. So I'll go to here and I'll add overlay. That's how it's called here in StreamYard. Downloads, date modified. Here we go. Yep. Okay. So let me see. I'll upload it. In 1 second, it's going to show up. There we go. This is what I'm, so you can see me kind of behind it. This is what I'm looking at. So from, let's say, right to left, I have my huge anatomy sketchbook, old one, finished it, but I don't have anywhere else to put it because it's so tall that I put it there. And then I have a few binders with Pokemon cards. You see some graded cards. I have the Gyarados, a bunch of others, one jumbo card, and then but behind it you see Berserk, the manga, and then I have Kim Jung-gi's art book. It's the one with the white binder, so it doesn't look like anything, but it's that. And then to the left there's Zelda mangas of Zelda, and then I have Yotsubato, which is another manga, and then I have Death Note, and I have a bunch of others behind it. I don't even remember, honestly. I need to move Pikachu to see it. Let's see here. Oh yeah. It's a few Narutos and Bleach. So yeah, you could say I'm an anime fan. I really want to watch a bunch of them, and I never make enough time for it. Would like to watch Full Metal Alchemist again. Would like to watch Attack on Titan. Not again, but for the first time. I only watched the first season, I think. So yeah, need to make more time for that for sure. Ambi, I'm opening a small aquarium shop. Oh, cool. Not really about art, but I would like to hang some of my work. Don't know if I'm brave enough to show it. No, definitely. And make it about fish. That'll be cool. Or about, sea creatures. That would be really neat. So what is it, like a small local shop or like something big? That's really cool. Aquarium shop. That's really neat. I really liked aquariums and fish and sea life. When I was a kid, we had an aquarium because that was the only pet I was allowed to have. So I really liked the fish. We had a lot of guppies mainly, but a few more interesting ones too. Lol, Ruth, yeah, she hates the camera. Megan, definitely. She doesn't like the spotlight. Uwe, my friend, how are you? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Been a while here, I think, on YouTube, right? Hope you're doing super well. And then wishing you an amazing 2022. Aaron, as someone, who has gone through the process of not being great at watercolor to knowing a ton and having the ability to teach it, I struggle with not progressing as fast as I'd like. Yeah, that's a tough one because what can you do about the rate at which you progress? You could definitely spend more time, but at some point you reach the maximum capacity, right? Do you think that you could name some key goals, skill markers, so I can feel like I'm progressing? Yeah, so I think it's very subjective. So you will have to set your own. But to me, a big one was matching the values just to get the realistic effect I'm after. It was drawing accurately, which, yes, I had some experience in drawing, but I guess drawing for the purpose of watercolor, which is a little different. And Aaron, by the way, feel free to open it up with more details, like where you feel like you're lagging behind. Do you not get the results you want? Usually I find that many people have a problem with the beginning stages. So like your technique and execution and placing the paint isn't really a problem, but it's more about the plan. And once they have a solid plan, the painting turns out really well. So like you can put down an even wash, you can kind of match the value you see. But then when everything happens together, the process kind of breaks because it's so hard to think about all of these things together. Color, value, shape, edges. It's really hard. So I find that having a solid plan minimizes a lot of that, right? So I'm curious to hear. Let me know, Aaron, if you care to elaborate. Now, one thing I will say, again, key goals or markers, it has to be if you like something about the painting. That was the main marker for me. But if you want to look at a few dry ones, so yes, drawing, matching the value accurately. And I suppose, I think these are the two main ones for me. Just basic control of the technique. So you kind of know what will happen if you add water, if you add paint, if two edges touch, what will happen, which way they'll go mostly, stuff like that, I guess. But beyond that, it's just about painting. So if you feel like you're stuck in that stage or before that, yeah, there's probably a lot of things you can do to get through that hump. But let me know. I'm curious. We'll get to it. I'm gonna definitely return to that. JTMS says, nice, those Zelda too. Yeah, those are really nice. They have a few colored pages inside, like 6 or 7 colored pages that look really good. I actually took a lot from it in terms of the page design. Let me get one and I'll show you. My favorite one has to be Ocarina of Time, which I think is this one. Yeah. So, and it's the nice version, right? The one that has the shine on it. I think this came out in volumes, that 6 volumes. This puts all of them together. So I just want to show you, and this, even if you don't like manga or anime, you will love this because the color art is so good. See? And then the actual, look at that. That's just so cool. I think that's a style a lot of people can fall in love with, you know. And then the actual pages, they look really good. You see here? It's just really, really good. And the artist, Himekawa, yeah, Akira Himekawa, he has a way of doing, like, let me show you. So look at the panels arrangement. He always does these things. I think it's a he. I'm pretty sure it's a he. I checked once. This, putting the characters in front with an open panel, right? Sorry for the reflection. And everything is kind of messy in a way, right? But it has order still to it. For example, if you look at the other side, right? Like big characters that take up a lot of the space of the page, and then the rest kind of goes behind that. That's, I think, really, really fun. And there are some more extreme examples of it. Like full page, like look at this one here. The whole panel layout is just so interesting. This panel is completely open. It's kind of like a rhythm of actions, right? This gave me a lot of inspiration to not be confined to just square, 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 you know, something more traditional you'll see. And I can't even find a page that does that. Everything has something open in it. It's so funny now that I look at it. Everything has open panels. But if I'll really try and find one, maybe I will. No, I can't find even one page that doesn't have any open panels. Everything has them. It's crazy. You see, you'll always have at least one. So, for example, if you look at this page, this panel's open and this panel's open, right? If you look at this page, same thing. This panel's open right here. So good. But yeah, these have crazy good art. Really, really good. And the colorful pages are a huge bonus for me. I think it makes a big difference. So yeah. Daiji says, awesome collection. Thank you. Thank you. There's actually more. And Kim Jung-gi, I can show you that too. We'll do a bookshelf kind of video. You know what? I should do a bookshelf video. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to do a proper bookshelf video. I think I said I'll do it ages ago. Bookshelf vid. So there we go. This is the one I have. It's really beat. And it's not suitable for work, I would say. So maybe I'll have to hand pick the pages. But look at that. This is crazy. Crazy good art. And there are a few comics here, like actual stories with panels. Of course, there are the big, beautiful illustrations, stuff like that. It's literally his sketchbook in a book, which is really good. Let me try and find the comics. Yeah, look at that. No wording, nothing, but you know, the story speaks. Yeah, these are great. A lot of these kind of mixed pages. Let me find one I really like. Let me find one that I really, really like personally. There were a few that I think are brilliant. This one here is really good, but I'll find another one. There are a few that I really, really like. If I'm able to find them. There is some watercolor here too. It's mostly markers, I believe, but there is also some watercolor. Sorry that I don't have the top camera. Look at that. That's crazy detailed. Yeah, so sorry I don't have the top camera to show you properly. But let me find something that's not too perverted. I mean, I don't mind. I don't know. I usually save these things out of the channel. I love these because this is genius. It's like with a brush pen kind of thing. You can see by the quality of the lines. That's really, really cool. Which one? I think there should be one or two that I really, really enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed all of this, but yeah, look at that. Look at this scene. This is so good. No, he's on a completely different level. So someone like that, for example, it's very easy to see that kind of a quality of art and ask yourself, like, how the hell does one become that good? And he tells the story of him being, first off, when he was super young, like, I don't know, I guess 4, he started drawing, and all he wanted to do was draw all day long. He knew that that's what he wants to do. I really enjoy drawing, but I cannot say by any stretch of the imagination that I knew that I want to draw all the time. Not at all. If anything, I would be lazy at it. I would just draw something when I feel like doing so. But so he's been doing it from a very young age, all the time, year after year. He never stopped. If I'm not mistaken, he never stopped. Age 4, 5, 6, 7, all through school, everything. Drawing while in classes, right? I didn't do that. I listened in classes. And then he did military service, and people found out that he's really good at drawing, which is a problem in the military because then everyone wants you to do work for them. But that's why a lot of his themes are military and mecha machines kind of a thing. And he didn't stop during his military service as well. So think about it this way. By the time he's, I don't know, like 20, 30, he has 20 to 30 years of experience, right? I don't have that under my belt. I have 8 years of working since I made that the business. But before that, maybe if I consolidate everything, maybe 1 year, because I never really did it, hard enough and serious enough. So you have to take that and have that in mind, right? Now, when you do it every year, year in, year out, year after year, right? You build a certain momentum that is unbreakable, and the improvement compounds, right? So just to give us a bit of a better perspective, usually these people that seem to be real geniuses in their fields, they started super young and they never stopped, and that's the thing. If you do it 1 year of hard work and then you stop for a year and then you do another one, you're gonna grow for sure. But it's not the same, it's not the same like doing it for 20 years straight, knowing that's what you want to do, draw every day. And I will add to that one more interesting thing he said. I believe it was with Stan Prokopenko from the anatomy course. He actually talked about how he observed a lot. Whenever he couldn't draw, he would observe things and really think about them, why they look the way they look, and try to analyze them in his mind's eye and try to draw them even in his mind's eye. So there's a lot to looking at things, right? And you could say maybe there's a natural gift there, but I think his work when he was 4 or 5 wasn't as good as today for sure. So just to give you a better perspective to contextualize this kind of an achievement, because he's one of probably the top in the world, because what he does from imagination is incredible. And I have seen a lot of artists work from imagination, and it's pretty amazing, either rotating things in their mind's eye, complex things, full scenes, right? Or just drawing flat out from imagination, complex poses, battle poses, stuff like that. There's quite a lot of people who can do that, right? But what he does is crazy because he really builds the scene in full detail and without any guidelines. So even the very very skilled artists still usually use some guidelines, very basic ones too, but that's something beyond. Is on a different level to contextualize. Full Metal Alchemist is good. Yeah, it is really, really good. And hello, jumped in. Welcome aboard. Yeah, I think I'll have quite a lot of messages to go through. Yeah, because I took this serious side tangent here. Brock, how are you doing? Domo, now is the best time to get into Attack on Titan. The last season is continuing on the 9th. Cool. So maybe by the time I watch it, it'll be over, right? By the way, is the manga over? I'm not sure. Because if the manga is not over, I'm curious as to how they are going with the anime. Are they going to change it? I'm not sure. But I love what I actually had a few false starts where I started reading the manga, started again. I remember I'm sure I watched the entire first season. I may have watched the second one, but I honestly don't remember. So I'll have to just do it again. Amy, I started sharing my work last year and I have big anxiety about it. Pro tips, Liron, please. And thank you. Yeah, it's just, I don't think it matters that much what other people will people, think about it. Question is, do you want to share it? Do you share it for the sake of sharing it? Then, who cares what other people will say? Um, and you don't have to share everything. You're completely in control, so you can decide to share very few select things. I don't share everything I do. I did a crap sketch before I started painting yesterday, and yes, it was kind of a warm up, but I never posted it anywhere, and post painting everywhere, if or at all. So one thing to have in mind is that you're in control, Amy. You can decide to share or not to share. You can share parts that you like. Um, and really, like, the worst thing that'll happen is you'll get a few negative comments. Uh, one of the worst comments I got. This is fun. This is story time. I love these streams that aren't as big as the drawing streams, even though 50 something people, that's a lot. But because I can share a story that I know just some people will hear this, which is always fun. So I had this guy email me after watching a video or receiving an email from me, and he said, it was 3 years ago, I believe, 4 years ago. He said, I have to unsubscribe because you don't know what you're doing. Basically, he said, I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't know about painting and drawing. And he prefers to study from someone who actually knows how to make art rather than an excited young marketer or something like that. Which to me at the time feels sad. Not sad, but it was like a punch. It's like this. But if you go to the channel, you'll find also, if you search for bad book reviews, you'll find I have a video on getting a few bad book reviews. But I'm in a different place because I really have to develop thick skin for it. These days, the worst comment I get is that I have a big nose. Like, that's the only thing, because you have to just, if someone leaves a negative comment or takes the time to leave a negative comment, that I feel more bad for them more than anything, right? So it doesn't really get to me anymore. I try to read things, even if they're negative, just to get feedback, because sometimes it can be useful feedback. But yeah, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone will tell you that you paint like crap. I mean, who cares? It's usually their problem, I will say. That was one of the bad emails I received. So, and of course, I knew back then. I knew less about painting and drawing, but like, how are you going to get anywhere if you don't do it, right? And you could argue that maybe it's okay, maybe it's better to wait till you build a certain level of experience before you make it a business. But I never hid my experience or my knowledge. The way I teach drawing, for example, it's not for the most high academic level, right? If you're going to go to an art atelier, you're going to get exercises and things to practice that are completely different from what I do. What I do is much more fun and accessible and loose, right? Sketching directly from observation. And I personally like to practice the more complex stuff. But what I teach mostly is the more excessive, the thing that's more like gives access to more people to just sketch for fun, right? And I never hid that. If you're going to watch someone like Proko, he puts a lot more emphasis on a lot of different things that you will learn in an art atelier. But in these kinds of settings, you'll practice drawing from direct side. I forgot. There are a few methods, and you'll work for 20 or 30 hours on one sketch that's gonna aim to mimic what you see to the T super accurately. Do I care about having that skill? No, not at all. And I know many people don't. Many people just search for the fun, way of doing things, and just to sketch in a fun way and everywhere, so you can do it wherever you go. If you go sit down at a bus station or in the train, whatever, you can sketch people or whatever you see around you. It's fun, That's how I do it, right? But in case, yeah, just a side tangent, just so you know, I get negative emails and comments all the time. But who cares? Like, what's the worst, really? I'm so like, at some point I got too tired to care about these things, and now I'm just like, cool, whatever. I'll read things just as a form of feedback. But yeah. So I hope that will give you some encouragement, right? Of course, the fact that I say it won't necessarily, I need tissue. I'm going to give you a tissue, but the fact I say it won't automatically give you confidence. But I hope it will give you, like, maybe the vibe of how I feel about this. Maybe that will encourage you. Give me 10 seconds. My apologies for the barking. Just had to get me some TP. So do you know these TP brands that start like this? Have you ever experienced this crap? It's funny to say crap in the context of, look at this. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Look at it. I need to like really work hard just to get to the start, and then it's the other way around. So you have to go through this entire process just to get started with the toilet paper, right? Now so all this, I can blow my nose with it, but I mean it's gonna be messy. So I remove the mic. Sorry about the noise. And thank you for comment, Christine, on Instagram. That's really cool. That's really fun. So you commented on, which one is it? The Tbilisi or the rickshaw thing. So thank you so much. If you missed the post, by the way, I think it's a really nice painting. So check them out if you want to open up Instagram. If you feel like it. Aaron, doing plein air is my major goal, but my drawing isn't progressing well. Painting is fun, but the drawing just isn't clicking for me. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's okay to take some time and work on drawing, you know. First off, if you're working at home, you can always trace. Now, to be honest with you, drawing when doing plein air isn't easy. I don't know what it is about it. It's harder for me to when I'm outside. It's just not as easy to draw. One thing I can say, two advice. One, maybe you're being impatient. I don't know, but I have that when I'm outside because I just want to get to the stage of painting. And I don't feel like, you know, and you're under a bit more time pressure because the light is changing. So I'll work faster. So that could be one thing. Now, the other thing I can give you kind of an advice is to take a picture with your phone, and then you just see the shapes more clearly, and then try and draw those shapes. That's the one thing that really helped me. But I do think, with that said, that practicing drawing while inside will translate to when doing plein air as well. So maybe you just need to improve some of your drawing skills and take like a detour to improve the painting. It is a part of it. So I wouldn't feel too bad about doing that. The way the drawing stage and the painting stage, the way these two connect can be tricky. I know that. One more thing that can help is to try and push a few drawings to their conclusion. So if you've seen the video I did on the apple, how to draw for a painting, I did it very recently, actually. Check that out. I'm going to drop a link. I'll find it and drop a link. It's a snippet from my course, from the Watercolor Realism course. But let me check now. How to? I think I called it "How to Draw without knowing how to draw." How to draw apple Liron. Let's see if I can find it. It's a recent one. Yeah, draw without knowing how to draw. So this video will show you one way that I would recommend you try and finalize it too. So here's what's going to happen. Drawing tip. And dropping it now in the chat. What's going to happen is, if you are able to draw something very simple and shade it, this experience shade be transferred to painting. So you can kind of do the same when you're painting, right? But if you're just drawing and you're not used to creating depth or volume using values, one step that you can take that's earlier than painting is to try and complete the drawing just with pencil. So I would definitely suggest you give this a try. But I get it, you know, the plein air is hard. When I draw plein air, I'm terrible. I'm much worse, trust me. Something about, and let me take it one step further. If I do a still life arrangement, which I rarely do, but sometimes I will, like draw something that's right next to me, I do a decent job. But when it's a big view, like a cityscape, it's harder. It's really harder. So yeah, I hope that helps in a way. White Reza, Liron, did you ever try other media? Oil, acrylic, gouache even? What drove you into watercolor in the first place, and why stick with it? So I actually did two paintings on canvas in acrylics. They're here around the house. I can show them in one video. Maybe we can do that like together with the bookshelf vid. Acrylic work. I also did a few in the sketchbook on paper, not on the canvas. And it was fun as a kind of a refresher, but honestly, watercolor is so much more for me. I find that acrylics bore me Sometimes just the mixing takes so long. I honestly don't feel like it was meant for me. And it's so funny because I really love the process from a more general perspective. I love that idea of adding slowly more and more and more and building it up that way. I love the possibilities of working opaquely, but I just don't like the process, you know? And the one thing that helped me is to use a little water with acrylics and kind of make them flow a little bit, but it wasn't the same, you know? It's inferior to watercolor in that regard. So, yeah. Oil I haven't tried, gouache I've never tried. What drove me into watercolor was urban sketching. The urban sketching movement was really strong during, I believe, 2014, 2015. And that's when I started doing a lot of sketching outside. And then I saw some people who, like Mark Taro Holmes, who like to add watercolors to their sketches and make them just a painting, you know, just a plein painting in a way. And that was so nice. And then I started doing my research on watercolor, and I found a few paintings that I was blown away by, you know, the kind of modern impressionistic style. And I was like, that's what I want to paint. And then I got into watercolor more seriously. And I started just like anyone else, and you can see, you know, works from when I started. If you go back to my posts from 2015 on Instagram, you will see it. Um, you know, I started with doing foggy trees, the exercise everyone does, and doing a few very terrible portraits. And, you know, I took it one step at a time, but I did put a lot of effort in the first year. First year was 3 hour practice every day. I still lived with my parents. I had less responsibilities. I had much more time. And I did 3 hours a day, every day of watercolor, which is a lot. That compounds. 3 hours. It's like when you do something professionally, you can do it 8 hours, you know, but 3 hours is a lot. And I was still working on a lot of books back then, so I was writing too. But yeah, that's what made me stick with it. What made me stick with it, honestly, looking back now, it was just luck, because I really just love the watercolor process. So I'm lucky to have found them that early on, and I guess they were just meant for me. You know, I can't explain it really. I love that you can kind of let go and let them do the thing they do best and mix and all of that, but then try and take a bit of control. Just love this medium. Becomes more apparent to me with time. David Green, hey, how are you, David? Good morning. I really appreciate your help in both showing what and how, as well as motivating me to paint. Unfortunately, my wife wants to go to grocery shopping, so I'll need to leave early. Okay, yeah, no worries. Whenever you have to go, the live stream will await you on the channel, so you can always watch it. I feel like, I don't know if I take the mic here, will you still hear me? Because then I don't have to move awkwardly when I want to drink. I don't know. Let me know if you can hear like blah blah talk, and maybe I'll go back to it later. Daiji Shinomori, that book from Kim Jung-gi is gorgeous. Yeah, it's so good. And you know how I got it? It's fun. A friend of mine who lived here in Tel Aviv. He liked drawing very sporadically, like once every few months. He was really good at it too. He had this talent for people. I think he had a better kind of approach to drawing people without doing any research. Almost, it's literally he had these visions that he knew how to draw. Really incredible stuff. I don't know anyone else who has that. And he just had that laying around, and it's like, look at it's super. It got wet at some point, and then it was dried. I don't know what this book went through, honestly, but I think he had it for a few years. Maybe he bought it. Maybe someone else gave it to him, and he was just like, "You want it?" And I was like, "Yes, I love Kim Jung-gi," so I just have it now. It's a really, really cool one. Azu says, "Wow, indeed." Um, Daiji, his freestyle ink drawing is simply amazing. Yep, for sure. Crazy. Domo, he's a living legend and a big reason why I started drawing. Cool. So I discovered him pretty late. I think in the last 3 years, maybe. That's when I discovered him. Maybe 4 years. So I was well into drawing and painting, but it was like, wow, that's really crazy. So yeah. Yep. He even drew in the military. That's true. Oh yeah, I remember that story. Initially, he lied that he had he's bad, so people won't ask him to draw their girlfriends. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Um, oh, the manga is done. Okay, the manga of Attack on Titan is done. So I may just read the manga, but I keep stopping. I don't know why. I think I'm in chapter 170, something like that. You know, another one, by the way, if anyone here else is into manga, I started reading. Started is an understatement. I finished about 2/3 of Promised Neverland, with the orphanage. That's a really good one. Then at some point I kind of lost track of it, so I don't know if anyone else kept reading beyond maybe chapter 180 or 200. Curious to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I may return to it. You're like, oh, it's a nice little shonen shoujo story. It goes south real fast. This is the final season. Okay, cool. Daiji, one illustrator whose work I adore is Yuko Shimizu. No, not the Hello Kitty artist. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yuko Shimizu, Japanese illustrator. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a really cool style. Ooh, that's really good. I love that. I'm gonna browse carefully later. So it looks really great. I'll look more into that. Didn't know that the Hello Kitty artist has the same name. That's interesting. Merrick Goparian says, any ideas about photorealism in watercolor? Not the usual realism, but the type of realistic painting that you question yourself if it's a painting or a picture. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. I'm sure of it. If you check out Gary Wall, which I'm sure someone may have dropped into the chat, but I'm gonna drop his Instagram. Gary Duval does that for sure, fully photorealistic. I know what you say about the fake realism, what a lot of artists do, including myself. Realism, Gary Duval. I'm putting it in the chat right now, Mer. Check it out. And there's another artist. I forgot their name, but doing beautiful water and people in the water really realistically. I don't know if anyone maybe remembers here in the chat. What was the artist's name? Was it? Oh yeah, I know who it is actually. It's Marcus Beccari. Yeah, Marcus Beccari. Same thing. I think a little more impressionistic, but still fully realistic for all intents and purposes. Marcus. There you go. That's more of my preferred style. If you look at the water scenes, it's completely photorealistic. Let me know your thoughts, by the way, chat. If you check out these works, they're really good. So it is possible. That's to answer your question. It is possible. The process would be more meticulous, right? So because usually people aim for this realism with colored pencils, with oils, large oils, right? So the bigger the piece is, the more margin of error you can afford, and it will still look realistic from afar. One. Second, when the medium gives you control, like oils, that you can continue adding and smoothing out, and you can continue improving it till it looks good, right? So that's the second thing. So with watercolor, you have a few problems with the size, but that's you can work around that. But let's say you're painting small. Hot press paper would work a little better because you don't have the texture, so it will be smoother, will feel more like a photo. But then in terms of the technique, it will have to be more meticulous. You'll constrained areas, really get them to look good, and then spread out to different areas. That's how theory works. I'm sure Marcus Beccari also has a bit of that, like putting masking fluid. You just have to be more meticulous if you want to achieve that kind of like really top of the line realism. You have to do an accurate drawing to match value and color both pretty accurately to like 90 to 90% accuracy, which isn't that hard, by the way. The problem is the context of the full painting, right? Because there's flow, there's the matter of flow. So then you have to know which constrained areas to work on. And once they're perfect, you move on to the next one. That's what I would say. You have to work around the hard edges. So if you find an area that has a hard edge, you can afford to fully perfect it and let it dry, and then work on the area next to it. So I will say that. Now, Marcus actually posted a video recently that I really recommend you check out because he shows his process. Now, I just now remembered. Was it a time-lapse video? And was it even Marcus? Because now I can't see it. Maybe it's this one. No, it's not this one. So yeah, he has a few videos. So all you have to do really is check them out. Oh yeah, I think I know which one it is. Maybe I can find it for you 1 second. It's so good. Now I get sucked into looking at the paintings. So good. He did a video recently. I believe, but now I can't find it. But his work is really insanely realistic. It's something else, and it's like water, the hardest subject in the world, and he paints it fully realistically. But yeah, my 2 cents on that. It is definitely possible, though. Great inspiration, actually. I can't believe I still haven't done a painting masters on him. I'm writing it down. Painting masters Marcos Beccari. So yeah. John Haywood says hello from Connecticut. Thank you for being here. Daiji, any feedback about you, your looks, etc., not about your technique and such, doesn't have anything constructive. Yeah, definitely. That I don't let that bother me. John, sometimes I've been wondering, I've been painting for about 2 years now and don't have any plans to ever sell my stuff. But at what point am I allowed to call myself an artist? You are. You're an artist. That's it. You've been painting for 2 years. I think being an artist is, it's more of a mode of being. So if you're thinking in a creative way and you like to create and tinker around with stuff, you're an artist. That's it. You're an artist. I declare you an artist. Jose, I'm the opposite. Paint isn't progressing well, but drawing is fine. Okay, good. So if drawing is fine, here are a couple of things I would challenge you to do, Jose. Try, maybe you have, if you have, let me know. Try pushing a drawing all the way till the end, just sketching, right? Use even charcoal or graphite, whatever you're comfortable with. If it's pencil, if it's other things, do that. See if you can get to a very high level with that, right? So that the values make sense and the overall impression is there and it's clear and it looks good, right? If you can do that with drawing and pencil technique, or maybe even pen, honestly, cross-hatching, very accurate work if that's your thing. If you can do it with that, you can do it with paint. It's only a matter of learning the techniques, right? If you cannot do it with pencil, again, maybe you don't have the technique, or maybe you don't have the overall knowledge of composition and values. So there's a lot to work on, right? But if you're able to draw accurately, you're at a great point. I would focus on matching the value you see accurately, matching the color you see accurately, and planning. Planning is huge. Knowing what shape you're going to paint before you start painting it. I'm not like that anymore. I paint a little more spontaneously, but that's because I can afford it. In the first 4 or 5 years, and I still dip into it as well, I'll be very deliberate. And I'll know for the gas can painting, I was very deliberate. I knew this is the wash I'm going to paint now. This is the area I'm going to work on. This edge should be soft. This edge should be hard. This is the color I'm going to mix. This is the value I'm going to mix. Everything. This is the brush I'm going to use. And of course, you don't need to write down all of these things. You know them, but you just have to decide before you get started. So I'll say it could be a technique gap, or it could be a planning gap, which planning is a big part of it. And especially when you get started, you need a good plan. That's why when you follow, not you in particular, but any person, when one follows a process of someone else, the result tends to be better because they streamlined it for you. They told you what to paint and when, right? They simplified the process, not just the reference photo, not just the subject matter, but the process as well. So just to throw a few tips at you, hopefully that'll work, Jose. Domo, maybe because planner is no longer drawing from photos, I always find drawing from life. For sure. I would practice doing, again, still life arrangements. Put something like this in front of you, put something like my camera in front of you, and try and draw that. It's a little simpler than drawing a full-fledged scene. Ian, how are you? Liron, I've been looking up a great watercolor artist, John Blockley. I believe I'm familiar with him. Let me check. John, I'm pretty sure, actually. I heard the name before. Let's see here. Yeah, I know John's work. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, it's very different from my preferred style, but the subject matter is it's so English, Beautiful work. Yeah, I'm familiar with his work. It could be interesting to dive deeper on it. Um, does he have any videos? I know he has books, but I'm not sure. Is there like an old video of his painting? I'm curious to see the process, actually. I'm not sure. Sometimes with these artists, let's see here. How old is he? Because he has a retrospective. Yeah. So I had a feeling he passed away. Yeah, interesting. So he was the president of Pastel Society in 1980. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll look deeper into that. If I find a video, that's the one thing I really enjoy looking at. But who knows? If you find one, let me know, Ian. Rushika, speaking of drawing, do you have any tips for perspective? It's the thing I struggle with the most. Yeah, the best advice I can give you, honestly, I don't know what stage you're at, but I did have a live stream where I did perspective, um, which I think is probably one of the best videos out there. I know it's a bit presumptuous, but I'm gonna share it. Um, there is a course. I think I'll work on a proper perspective course in the future. I just think a lot of people struggle with it. So this is perspective, Rishika. Sorry, I know I'm super delayed with the chat. Perspective live. I think it's worth checking out if you haven't. I analyze views there, and you really learn how the concepts work, and I think it's really important. I'll actually watch it later just to make sure that it's super relevant. I think it is. And yeah, Rashika, I think I asked you about your profile pic if you designed it because it looks super good. I love the color scheme. I love it. Sometimes the colors just grab you, and it looks so good. But yeah, um, let's see here. White Reza, it's way easier to copy a 2D image than a 3D scene. Yep. To draw from a photo, we just have to blindly follow the lines. Yeah, that's true. It's just the lines are more obvious in a photo. Of course, the lines don't exist even in a photo, but they're just more obvious, you know. Evelina, I'm sharing work as an experiment. I noticed what gets the most attention, so I know what made the painting standing more. If I really like something, I delete afterwards. That the anxiety away. Yeah, whatever works for you. I'm okay with people deleting stuff they don't like it. As an experiment, I noticed what gets the most attention. Okay, so you basically wanted what gets most attention. It's interesting because to me, I find that the things I do that people like the most aren't usually the thing I like the most. Results wise, but sometimes also process wise. So there is a lot of discrepancy there, right? I think the most important thing is to focus at the end of the day about things that you enjoy doing, regardless of the feedback, of course. But you know, you got to mix it up. Got to work the algorithms too. Christine, my dog Toby won Kenobi, came running when he heard Ruth. Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. Let's see here. Let's skip a bit. Team FT, I don't really know when to stop painting, so I end up overworking. Any tips? Yeah, so I feel like no matter how many details I'll edit, never gets overworked. So do you consider that overwork? Because if you do, I just disagree. But if you do more than that, the best advice I could give it, I feel like I gave it a few times, but so sorry for not having anything more original. Just take a break, you know? Take a break like a day. Just stop, get away from the painting, do something else, you know, work, rest, read, and visit it, maybe revisit it the next day and ask yourself, do I add anything else? You know? To me, the process is very clear. It's maybe a first underpainting, then the base of shadow, and then it's details. This stage of details, I'll just add what I feel like is necessary. And I'd much rather add less than is necessary than more. But I feel like no matter what I do, I don't really go overboard. So I'll be curious to hear. First off, you can email me with an example you think is overworked, and I'll take a look. And second, take a break. That's my best advice for you. I hope that helps. Jody LP, watercolor is pretty inexpensive as paint goes, in my opinion. Oil and acrylic costs a lot. Yeah, that's another advantage. That's so funny. It's just a better medium, in my opinion, for beginners and for intermediates. And if you really like the process of oils and acrylics, like I enjoy watercolor, then those are the mediums for you. But if you enjoy watercolor more, it's cheaper. It's easier to set up. There is no fumes and stuff, and you don't have to worry about as many things. I don't know, it's just ideal, you know, it's faster. So yeah, I agree, Jody. Rishika, I'm with you, Liron. The flow that comes with watercolor is what made me fall in love with it. I'm not good at it yet, but I simply enjoy the process and painting with it. Yep, that's the best, you know, that's the best case. That flow is amazing. It always makes me happy. Monica and Jay, hello, Liron. I'm like, no worries. We're going through questions and talking about random stuff. You missed a few interesting stories, so do watch back. Anyone else who joins now, and by the way, if you can take a second to like this stream, and I think I should have a banner here. Please drop a like. Thank you so much. If you enjoy it, take a second to leave a like, even if you watch it after it ended. It really helps more people find it and helps my channel. But definitely, what I would say is that thank you to anyone who's here watching, and if you just joined, just go, be sure to go back and listen from the beginning, because there are a few interesting stories. So yeah. Lefter is Photopoulos. Just watch some Japanese calligraphy videos, so enchanting. Yeah, definitely. And because it's with brushes, it has that same feel in a way to watercolor, because ink is I don't know if it's water based. Sometimes it is water based, but it's just more, flowy. So it has a very watercolor esque feel to it. Always fun. Arthur, I have a book of Ray Hendershot, also very artistic. Ray Hendershot. I don't think I'm familiar with him. Don't think I ever heard the name. Let's see. Oh, nice. Ray Hendershot paintings. Yeah, really nice. And also that kind of English feel. Really, really good. Oh, I love that moon scene. There's a really nice one. Check him out. Has good art. Stephen Scott Young. The portraits look so realistic. The watercolor elements. Stephen Scott Young. I'm not sure I know who that is. Let me check. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. So I don't know if that's the type of realism discussed, but it's definitely very realistic. Oh yeah, here's one really realistic. A painting called Promised. Google that. That's like almost photorealistic. By the way, I will add to that Misulbu also does very realistic work here on YouTube and Instagram and everything. Thanga, thank you for joining. No worries. I'm happy to have you on board. Mara says, thank you. Good. So we're getting through the answers to my answer. Still alive. Nice. Yeah. Yes, Saint Inky, we're still here. Oh, Steve, how are you? Hi, Liron, just popping in to say hi. Been a while. Hope you're well, my friend. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, my friend. You're doing great work. Really enjoy the videos. So yeah, such an honor. Though also say everyone says hi. So yeah, he's famous. Many books he has out. Yeah, I'm not sure who you're referring to by this point. Sorry, I'm super delayed on the chat. Oh yeah, okay, probably from earlier. John Blockley, probably. John Liron, someone recently said to me that by adding white gel pen for highlights in a watercolor painting, it is no longer classed as watercolor, but mixed media instead. Curious to hear what you think. Honestly, this is semantics, if you want to be all fancy, like I am sometimes, and work very hard on your negative painting skills and skip every highlight, if you can do that and if you can afford doing that without masking fluid or masking tape, go for it, right? If you can do that, but I just think it's impractical. So the practical solution is to add something else. Now, if I use opaque watercolor, is it still considered watercolor? I use it straight out of the tube very often. It's all semantics. Who cares? So they can class it as mixed media. They can class it whatever they want. I like mixed media. I don't care. So maybe I'm a mixed media artist. I just think it's irrelevant to anything. The only thing it is relevant to is if you sign up for a watercolor competition and they ask for the painting to be 90% watercolor. Now, sometimes what they usually ask, from what I've seen, is 90% watercolor, whether it's opaque or transparent. So it's okay to use it opaquely. As long as it's watercolor, right? So what I think they want to avoid is a situation where you use like 50% watercolor, 50% acrylics, or something completely different, or a sketch that has just a little bit of watercolor on top of it. They want it to be primarily watercolor. Anything else that is not a competition, an art competition, or an event, or an exhibition that has no clear like standards, it's just subjective. So that's my thoughts on this. You probably agree with me though, so hopefully it's still interesting to hear. And if you don't agree, that's cool too. But I have a feeling many will agree with this. Does anyone know if he's related to Anne Blockley? Interesting. Her father. Oh, cool. It's good to know. Anne Blockley. So am I familiar with? So Anne Blockley does ring a bell for sure as well. Oh yeah, of course. I'm familiar with Anne. Yeah. So I think I was familiar with her, maybe even more than John. Interesting. Yep. This is his daughter. She's a very talented watercolorist to love her choice of colors. Yeah, that's really cool. That's good to know. Saint Inky says I got some of Anne's books. It's funny to discover like someone's. You know what's funny? I don't know if any of you are deep down the YouTube rabbit hole enough to know this, but um, do you know Jazza? He has this art channel. So Jazza does a lot of different art stuff. So it started as more drawing and painting, but now it's a lot of things, and a blog and a vlog and so much stuff. So and then there's another creator called Shadiversity who does these historical videos about castles and medieval weapons and medieval fairs and stuff like that. And then he does analysis of films, whether they're historically accurate and how they depict battles and castles and stuff. He did a bunch of Game of Thrones and stuff. So they're brothers, which is crazy. I don't know if any of you know this. I'm going to check the chat soon to see if anyone is familiar. So Jazza is a really successful YouTuber. He has like, I don't know, a couple of million, and Shadiversity has like a million subs, I think, or maybe 800,000, or maybe more than a million. I don't remember. They're brothers, which is crazy. Rushika says, "Oh no, not designed by me, but I will design the next one." Oh, cool. But it's a really nice one. Mixed media, gel ink is not watercolor, anything other mixed. Yeah, whatever, semantics. Should you keep going if you don't like the painting? Oh, so here's the story. Blue tea art. This painting, I didn't like it. I started, it was an awful disaster, and then I decided to power through, and now I like it. So I feel like as long as it's not like detrimental and you completely hate it, you can take a break for a few hours and come back to it, and you will maybe feel like continuing, right? You don't have to force yourself. It's art after all. It's not like a matter of life and death, hopefully, so you don't have to force yourself to do it. Um, but I think it is good to open up the opportunity or option for yourself. So maybe if you hate something, stop, take a few steps back, take a 30-minute to an hour break, revisit it and see if you feel the same way. And if you just look at it with disdain, just don't, you don't have to. But you may discover that after a break, you feel like going back to it. So definitely don't rip it and throw it away. That's what I would say. I hope that helps, though. I suppose you learn there are some of her techniques. That's learn from Anne. Some of John techniques. Super funny. Um, Lana says, "Hi, everyone. It's Nikki Hensel from Canada. Enjoy your videos. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Nikki, hope you're doing super well. Question: how do you do videos? What equipment do you need? So I'm like the most not cheap, but like basic when it comes to equipment. All I have is this tripod with a horizontal bar, and then it films from above. So I'm using this camera now. This is after I upgraded to a 4K, which is still quite basic. So this is the model HCVX1, super old by now, I think. But this is a 4K camera. Gives me the option to film from more zoomed out and digitally zoom in and still have a good quality. So for editing, I'm a little fancier. I do have Premiere Pro, which I think I wouldn't replace for anything. I really like it. Premiere Pro. I have this very cheap Art Technica. What do you call it? Technica mic, something like that. Let me check. I can actually check. Where do I see my mic settings? Audio, ATR something. I don't remember its name, but that's pretty basic. What else is interesting? I am using Photoshop to edit thumbnails, stuff like that. But for filming, it's just a basic camera. Or even I had an iPhone 7, I used it for filming videos. So you don't need something too crazy. But let me know if you have any specifics about the tripod and stuff like that. I'll be happy to answer specific questions. Farouk says hello. Hey, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Timothy, yes, it does help. Thanks, Liron. I'll do email you. What's your email? It's just Liron at lironian.com, and you can find it on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Thang. I'm going to skip a bit to the front of the chat. These are pleasant. Let's see here. Lena says, giving a suggestion. Can you do Q&A? One who do painting tutorials. I'm an artist wanting to do videos. What equipment do you need? And one would like to do something specific about the tools, either a QA or like a video. I can do that. I'll write it down. Tools. I can do something like that. There's something I wanted to do for a while now around my tools and materials, but yeah. Lauren McCracken is an awesome hyperrealist. Let's see. I think I'm familiar with her too. Lauren McCracken, paintings. Let's see. All of these names ring a bell. Oh yeah, of course. I'm familiar with her work. Yeah, that's really good. I remember those still lives with a dark background. Super awesome. Yeah. Yep. Semantics, perfectly forgettable. Yeah, definitely. That's Steve. That's one thing I definitely took from your content. That freedom to little things. Whatever people define things is fine. The most important thing is that definitions are only meant to describe a reality. So the way you feel is more nuanced than what a label could describe. So in that regard, yeah, this is just semantics. I think from your approach and also Mark Crilly, I learned so much about that, and I'm very happy that I had these this kind of role models for keeping an open mind as I learn and as I grow and improve. It's really important just to not go in a narrower tunnel that gets narrower and narrower. So yeah, you got it, John. Thank you so much. Jazza has a cool drawing app you may like. Oh yeah, I heard about it. The randomizes words. Yep. Yeah, I'm familiar with it, I think. Yeah. Domo, are you familiar with any digital artists teachers on YouTube such as Ahmed Al-Duri? Yeah, Ahmed Al-Duri. Steven Pata I heard of, but I don't think I watched him. I watched a bit of Ethan Becker, he's really funny. What do you think about learning from digital artists for a traditional artist? Yeah, no worries. I try to learn from everyone. I learned from Mark at Draw Mix Paint, who uses oil colors, oil paint. I learned from some digital artists as well. I think you have on YouTube. Let me make sure I don't get the name wrong. I think Marco Bucci does a combination of two. Yeah, so he does both digital and Marco Bucci, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. So he does a combination of digital and traditional, and very skilled painter. Marco Bucci. I'm going to drop it in the chat if you want to check it out. Ahmed, I'm definitely familiar with, and quite a few more. Yep. I'm all for it. If you learn from as many influences and inspirations as you can, it will open up your mind. I think I've seen Zapata in the past. Not sure though. Manish, can you recommend one great watercolor brush to paint with? Worth spending money on? I'm confused with the different Escoda brushes or with black velvet. Yeah, interesting. So to me, a recent one was the big, large goat hair by Lebenson. If you just Google Lebenson brushes, you should find it. But I found this to be super versatile recently because it has a tip that is super sharp. And to be honest with you, this stayed sharper for longer than Skodas. I don't know why my Skodas, some of them lose their tip. Not too bad. You can do everything with them. They're still very high quality. But this still hasn't lost its tip, and it can also be as versatile as a mop. And it's the bamboo grip, so you don't get too fatigued. So I would check that out. Go to Lebenson Brushes. It's the one called Large Goat Hair, and I believe my promo code should still work. So it's Liron, I think. Just Liron should give you like a nice percentage off. That's a recent one I really like. Now, I will say I would have two types of brushes. One that is large for larger washes and one that's more accurate. But both of these, I want you to avoid extremes. Don't go for the tiniest brush you can find for the details and too big of a brush for, the bigger washes. Both of them I like in the middle. So maybe size 16 mop that has a good tip to it, and then a smaller one that also has a good tip and is versatile, so you could go to a size as small as 6 up to a 10. So something maybe in between that, maybe a 10. With a 10 you can get 6 if you have a thin good tip to it, right? But if anyone else can chime in, just curious to hear your thoughts, if you haven't already, about silver black velvet. I love, but again, it's just a normal round brush. That's what I use. Nothing too special, I'll definitely say that for the sizes I'm painting, which isn't too big, I usually do either this, which is around A4 or A3. The Lebenson one is really good. So far, it's been really good to me. Some YouTubers like a webcam. Yeah, so I have a C920, but honestly, what you're seeing now is the Max camera, and it's much better. I don't know why. It's better than the C920. So I never really needed to get a camera, turns out. But yeah. Thanga, can I have your email so that I may clear my doubts? Yeah, you can go to the channel and go to the About tab and click the, show email. And you'll find it there. It's basically Liron at lironyan.com. Ian Moore, not really a question, just a celebration that I finally made one of your live streams. Thank you so much for being here, Ian. Very happy. A lot of people kind of discover them at some point, and then hopefully you can. So just if this is your first or one of the first live stream you are able to catch live, I do this same time every week. So it's always Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I should do something for the Aussies that always want me to do a different time. I will do at some point, probably as an additional live stream, maybe on Tuesday. I promise to do something like that because I know it's very hard to watch the videos and you're probably watching them after the fact. So sorry about that. But this is the same time, Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you're free that time, tune in. I'm here. Definitely would love for you to be here in future ones. Domo, I find them just as good in their traditional art, and I love their sketches. Sometimes I feel like I just want to make pleasing sketches instead of finished works. Yeah, definitely. I can relate to that, If I do too much finished work, I just want to, relax a bit and do some fun stuff, practices for myself. That helps a lot too. Ian, download a free software tool called OBS to help you put a video together. Yeah, so I'm actually using OBS to stream, not right now. Now I'm using StreamYard, but for this live streams where I paint and I need multiple cameras, I'm using OBS, and it's great. And it's also great for video editing because you can use multiple cameras. So you can have one like this front one and add another one connected to OBS, and you can film and do everything there. I actually used it once or twice for painting masters because I can show myself and a screen capture at the same time. It's really useful, actually. Yeah, that's a good tip. A really good tip. I should use OBS more for the more lazy type of videos, Marco is also amazing. Indeed, Ethan Becker is quite the character. Yeah, he's so funny. I could never do videos like he does them. He's just really crazy. Love the lemons and goat hairbrush. Yeah, it's so good, Steve. It's really, really nice. Have you been using it too? I'm curious. Look for a large cat tongue. Yeah, cat tongue is another one that's favorite. I think, Steve, you use a lot of the cat tongue silver black velvet, right? That's a really, really nice one. Saint Inky says David Smith watercolors or some of Daniel Smith, I guess. David Smith. What is David Smith? Oh, like a painter? David Smith watercolors. Sorry, got me confused there. Let's see. Oh, okay. David Smith. I'm sure I've seen his work before, especially this specific snowy scene I'm looking at. I'm sure I've watched a video of his too. Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. Cool. So many artists. It's really crazy just how many artists there are out there for any medium, like watercolor, acrylics, oils, everything. It's just everything is a whole world in and of itself. You will never run out of inspiration and paintings to see. It's really crazy. Hi, Liron. Have you heard of 3K St. Petersburg paints from Russia? I know St. Petersburg, White Knights. I don't know what 3K is. Let me check if that's a thing or it's just a typo. St. Petersburg. Is actually called 3K. I wasn't familiar with 3K, but I'm using White Knights. I love them. So White Knights here are a pretty cheap option, probably because we're closer to Russia in a way, or Europe. So it's easier to import here, I guess. And they're very soft, which I like. They have great saturation, and to top it all off, they're cheap. So I love them. It's just that they always run out of them in the store I go to. There's always the colors that are left are the ones I don't need. So that's funny, but I love them. Freaking morons! It's been a while. Thank you for being here. If I recall, I think it's been a while since I saw you here. Happy New Year, Liron. Hope everything is well. Thank you so much. And he says, "Thanks, Liron. You got it, my friend." Saint Inky, I love his paintings too. Hope to take a class with him. Yeah, I want to take a class at some point, or like a workshop or something like that. A few days even. We'll see. There's an awesome demo from him, and he's so funny too. I would love to attend one. Shows a lake scene. Feel free to share a link here, or let me know the title in the chat, and we'll check it out. Arthur, my Skoda Perla brushes quickly lost their sharp tip. Very frustrating. The versatiles seem to be more resilient so far. Recently used small size sables again. Love the way they glide over paper. Yeah, definitely. The sable ones are just they feel different. As for the Perla brushes, I had the exact same experience. I just feel like the Perla weren't really meant for a sharp tip. The versatile ones more were made for that, so I would be a little more forgiving for the Perla ones. But they did come with a crazy sharp tip. One more thing to say is I think the first time I painted with the Perla ones are white at first, and then it just goes dark as soon as you start working with them. It could be fun if the sables would somehow preserve their white color, but doesn't. The versatile is more resilient, but I did get this little twist in the edge. I don't know. I'm not sure. Probably my fault. I didn't take care of them well enough. I know him as the guy who has a lot of fun painting with watercolor. So Rishika says I have to pop off, but glad I could join in. Yeah, thank you so much. I use the ghoster frequently, and yes, I like big cat tongues because you can take large washes down to some medium detail. Yeah, okay, cool. Down to some medium detail. Yeah, I'd love to use mostly brushes that can do that to be versatile in that way. One thing I wanted to try, and it's been a while. I want to try to use my large, wide Raphael brush for like not too big of a painting, maybe something around A3. Just to get the first washes, not to struggle with them, not to work with that much of a bead, but just put the paint there. Something I really have been wanting for a while. So see, we take a few more questions from Instagram that are left from messages I got, and then we can do some more here and maybe move towards wrapping up. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Good. So Sharkshire asks, after one coat, how to decide correct color value and color thickness for the second coat? Yeah, interesting. So I would say it's just like the first layer. The one thing you have to do is take into consideration you're painting over an existing layer, and so there is a bit of value there. So you don't have to go maybe as dark as you necessarily think. On the other hand, watercolor dries lighter, so you have to take that into consideration as well. So I would say just like matching the value and matching the color as an exercise in and of itself, it's about trial and error. So you have to try and match the value and then test it out and take what I like to do sometimes. Here's a good tip for anyone who, if you're in mid process and you're not sure, and I did it with this painting as well, and you're unsure of the values, especially take a picture of the painting, turn it black and white, and then turn the reference photo black and white, and then compare them, and you'll immediately see all sorts of differences in different areas in them, right? So an area is too light, too dark, not doesn't stand out enough, right? But you have to go through that cycle of trying to do it and then finding a way to test yourself whether you were accurate or not. I think that's really important. And then fix and do that over again and again and again. That's probably the best way to improve that skill. But just have in mind you already painted a coat, so you won't have to go as dark. As for the color, I find that if you want to preserve an area's saturation, glazing multiple glazes of the same color can help with very cleanly. So if you put the first wash and you have a lot of red in one area, you want to keep it red. The next wash, I'll use the same red, maybe even probably darker and stronger, but just that red. I find that glazes, as long as you use the same color, actually do make it stronger. Not just darker, but also a little more saturated sometimes. So I don't know if it's just me or I'm imagining things, but I definitely feel that way. And you can actually see this if you look at Misselbu's processes, where he glazes a layer above and he'll do a sharp, like someone has a cap and he'll put a sharp shadow and it's red. It's really strong red. So yeah, definitely. So just wanted to get another one from Instagram. If I have another interesting one, then we'll go back to the chat. Okay, yeah. Well, we'll go back here for a few more seconds. Suvik says, "Hey, what's up, Liron? I'm doing well. How are you?" Ayman, how are you? It's been a while too, I think. Or no, you know what? Maybe you were in the last live stream. I don't remember. Have you ever tried Princeton brushes? Yes, I have one or two. I used them when I got started, and I still didn't know what I like. So it's not my favorite, but I'm sure if I go through their catalog and get a different one that's more suitable for my needs, I'll like it. I think Princeton are decent. They were decent. Actually, some of my best old work was done with Princeton, so they're definitely something worth checking out. If you can get them cheap, I think it's worth it for sure. But yeah. Hey, Eldon, how are you? Tommy, I like the Escoda mops, but the Perlas do not agree with me. Lose their tips too soon. I have more success with a cheap synthetic brush. Interesting. From pen art. Not familiar with pen art. Have you got any Chinese, Japanese style brushes? If yes, is there anything unique to them, or are they just basically very pointy rounds? So you know what's interesting, Domo? I think the large goat hair, you could call that Japanese or Chinese style calligraphy, because it does have a bit of a longer tip. Now I do have another brush by Tracy that I haven't, Tracy Levinson, that I haven't tried enough that is like that. I don't think there's anything necessarily too unique to them, but they usually are soft because it's long bristles and thin. So it's something you need to learn to work with. That's the one thing I would say. So sometimes filling in large areas can be a little harder the longer the tip is. So sometimes you'll work more in patches, like Misolbu does. Patch, another patch, another patch. But overall, it's just very thin and long. So it's kind of the same, I would say, in my experience at least. Arthur, I agree, Liron, about the pearl brushes. Still use them for details and higher pigment loads. Still don't like how they look, though. Triggers memories of ruined oil brushes. Oh, really? You have those memories? It's interesting, yeah. Do oil brushes, are oil brushes ruined easily? Again, I know almost nothing about oil painting, so yeah. Ruben 1961, it's a pleasure to follow this live stream. Thank you so much. That's actually my dad. So if anyone doesn't know, now you know. Thank you for being here. Tommy, I recently bought Chinese calligraphy brushes. Their water retention is, oh yeah, one thing I haven't mentioned is the water retention for sure. Is fantastic and as good as the Escoda mops, which are 10 times the value. Yeah, water retention is something that for softer bristle, it's just better. So I find that to be true for, also I have the Winsor Newton Series 7, if I'm not mistaken, with very soft tip, but still pointy and not long like calligraphy. But the softer natural just has better water capacity overall. So definitely same for the calligraphy brushes. So for water capacity, I would say it's a big plus, but it is a bit harder in my experience to control for large washes anyway. So you could get a lot done with them if it's smaller details. That's at least my thoughts. But you know, you could use anything for anything, honestly. So if you find that it works for you, go for it. Steve says, what do you feel has been your most dramatic and satisfying artistic development since starting your channel? Interesting. Dramatic and satisfying artistic development. No, I'm not sure. It's been so gradual. That's interesting. You know what I'll do? I'll do something interesting. I'm not sure how to answer that. So I'm going to go over to the channel and I'm going to actually filter the videos by, or sort the videos rather by most popular, because I think the answer is going to be somewhere in there. Oh yeah, of course. So a big one for me was not mixing the paint on the palette, but rather putting it on paper purely, which is something I took from Stan Miller. Now, when I started doing that, I feel like a lot of my greens, especially, and you can surely relate to that because of all of the spontaneous landscapes you do, it really improved them. As soon as I started splitting my greens into blues and yellows separate without mixing on the palette, that was huge for me. So it wasn't even necessarily huge in terms of result. My results weren't great soon after that. It took some time to improve them again. But in terms of the process, I enjoyed it much more, and I felt like I'm developing a better understanding of it. So that would be a big, let's say, artistic development and a mindset shift, that I can split the colors, and the human eye is so interesting in that it will connect them. You know, you just see the blue and the yellow and you connect them together without even thinking about it. So that was huge, and coincidentally, it's one of my most watched videos. So that's interesting. One more thing I would say is there is actually another video that shows that about colors, which I use just a bunch of saturated colors. purely. So I will say everything around that, around the colors and how to use them separate and purely, that was a big revelation for me at the time, for sure. I wonder if there's like another more recent one that I can think of. If anything comes up, I'll say it. And then probably in the future it would be interesting to look back and maybe figure out what it was, you know. So we've been through that, I think. Freaking Moron says, yes, it's been a while. Question: do you sell only originals or do you sell prints as well? If so, do you print them yourself or do you outsource them? Plan to start a website to sell prints this year. So here's my thing, freaking morons. The way I look at it, and I'm trying to look at it more and more like this, I try and let the audience demand dictate it. So I think I've been asked maybe once about prints, in terms of, so you're asking me because you want to start selling prints, right? I'm looking for interest in purchasing. So if someone sends me a message and says, do you have this painting available as a print? Like if you want it for a cheaper price or something like that. I think I've been asked about it once. I am asked about where can I see the paintings for sale, but I think just once I've been asked about prints. So I never even started doing it. So I don't want to work on something that has no demand because I have enough to do as it is. So I try to kind of dictate what you say. So if more people will ask about it, I'll start doing it. Now, as for printing, I think it will depend on how big it's going to be. So if you're going to print a lot, you may benefit from doing it yourself and getting the right equipment, right? So you'll need probably, I don't know much about it, but you'll need a decent printer that prints really high quality, but can also handle many types of paper. So if you want to print on a thicker paper, tinted paper, you know, these kinds of things, you want to have a more advanced printer. You will also need a good scanner if you're going to scan large pieces in order to create a print. If you're doing small stuff like this one, it's not a problem, even though this barely fits in my scanner. And of course, you can outsource some of the process, right? You can scan at a facility, store, whatever, and then do the printing yourself. But before you know the demand and you have, like, you know, people that ask you for that, I would outsource pretty much everything for starters, just to check it out and to see how it works. And if it means selling for a little more expensive just because you need to fund that, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. It's going to be cheaper anyway because it's a print, right? So you have a bit more leeway with the pricing. So I would outsource in the beginning everything. But once you have larger quantities, yes, you can do it yourself. Now, one more thing I can say is that you can do everything on your own, like go scan it somewhere in a store, do the printing using, you know, outsourcing. But there are also a lot of online services. So I would definitely look into print on demand services that do everything for you. So they can print on canvas, they can print on all sorts of, and I think maybe Steve knows more about it and maybe already answered. There are a lot of online solutions, print on demand, that can be relatively cheap, right? The one thing you want to make sure is that it's not terribly expensive. The good thing about these is that they can outsource shipping too, and that's huge. Like the time and effort of shipping, that may be worth paying for, you know, so you don't have to ship yourself. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. Generally speaking, I would start small and not spend too much money until you know you have a clearer picture of the demand, right? Because you don't want to overextend yourself, I guess. Ian, Liron, get yourself a large hacker brush for doing the big first wash. Yeah, definitely. I have something similar here. It's not a hacker brush, but it's this nice Raphael brush. It's called a Soft Aqua. I really like this one. Got it in Paris, actually. And I should use this more for smaller paintings too. Could be interesting. Saint Inky, tip for White Knights fans. Elena Betsanova has a set out now, and there's a great 9-part video demo of how she paints her still lifes. I'm going to check it out. That's actually really interesting on the Nevskaya YouTube channel. Nevskaya, yeah. Nevskaya Palitra. I think that's the brand, right, that makes the paints. Nevskaya Palitra, because I'm going to forget. And her name again, Elena. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I'm interested. I always, after a live stream, I have so many tabs open for things to check out later. It's so fun. Hey, Sujanit, how are you? No worries. Happy to have you here. So Yeah, sorry, I thought it's also by Sujanith. Steve, the Princeton Aqua Elites are their top watercolor brush. Good brush for synthetic. Cool. Wasn't familiar with Aqua Elites. So if anyone wants to check that out, I think honestly, a lot of art supplies, to me personally, will depend on what I can get locally for cheap or what I can get comfortably online. So that's usually what dictates it. I can get Daniel Smith pretty comfortably from Amazon, and I can get White Knights pretty cheaply locally here. So, and I could get at the time Saunders Waterford for cheap here. So that's the paper I used. It's almost like there are so many options, but it will depend on what's most accessible in a way to you. You can save a lot of money if you do that. Arthur says, I still struggle a bit with large sky washes on dry paper. The paint dries so fast even when using lots of water. Interesting. So a possible solution would be larger brushes, of course, mixing more in advance if you don't, painting smaller. You don't have to do large paintings, and using a sprayer that can help as well. But yeah, I think this mostly covers it. Painting at an angle. But yeah, sometimes you just have to work fast. I'm very familiar with that. When I got started, the big sky washes were a big thing. And if you try and get some clouds in and some details, it's always a challenge. Yeah, getting into the rhythm and being able to paint fast enough, it's not easy at all. But once you start to get an understanding of what to pay attention to, it is possible, very possible. So you'll work on a complex wash that's pretty large, and you're very aware of the edges, and you know exactly when you have to continue them so they don't dry on you. One more solution, Arthur, and I know maybe you are not interested in that, pre-wet the paper. If what you're trying to achieve can be done on a wet and wet, pre-wet it. It will help. A lot of great info there and approaches I haven't seen. Oh, cool. Cheesecloth underneath the paper. That's interesting. Steve says Stan Miller is one of my favorites for sure. Great answers. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thanks. Thank you. Or maybe you're referring to someone else in the chat, but yeah, a lot of good comments today. Let me get rid of this spam comment. Once in a while I get them. Are there any rules where you choose squirrel over synthetic brushes and vice versa? So lefters, to be honest with you, I will prefer synthetic whenever possible, just for humane reasons. Natural hair will have better capacity. So squirrel will have better water capacity. It will be softer, which will be a matter of personal choice. So if you prefer softer brushes, I would go with natural. I think those would be the two cases where it has superiority over others. One more thing is the tip stays sharp. I think much better in these types of brushes. So these are some advantages you may choose that may lead you to choosing to prioritize squirrel. Sometimes you can get a mix, right? But that's kind of the same. White Treza, pre-wetting can help for big even washes. And of course it will influence result. So yeah, I just got a message on Instagram that's interesting. I will look at it later on. David, how are you, my friend? By the way, I saw your message. I know I need to get back to you. Sorry about that. I'll get back to you right after the stream. I'm gonna write it down because I'll forget. Hope you're doing super well. Manish says, are Schminke overrated? I don't know. I think they're properly rated. They are popular, but there are a lot of brands that are popular. So I don't know if I'll say they're overrated, but it's interesting. I should do an overrated, underrated video. Steve Fly, need to check in to your lives more often. Late congrats on 100K. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Steven, and feel free to always drop by. And maybe we can do a live stream together. Definitely would be interested in that. If you are, we can do a nice art chat. Just these sessions, you can just answer questions for hours, and it just continues. And there's so much good topics to get to. So I'm definitely up for something like that in the future, if that works out for you. So yeah, I have another question here from Perfect. We'll do that for sure. We'll talk about it. And thank you so much for dropping by. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy as well. So let's see. I have a question on Instagram. How to choose the size of paper for any particular live stream. And if you have any other questions, drop them here, and we can get to those around the end as we wrap it up. But I would say it will depend on how many details you want to get in. And so if you want more details, obviously painting larger is better. And also just, I think painting larger is more impressive. So when you see a painting that is larger, it's just, you can see it better, right? That's definitely something I want to do more of, just to paint larger. I have this huge piece I did of a New York scene. It's just fun to look at, so that's one thing I will say. Another thing I will say is with larger paintings, which I did mention before, but it's not as often discussed. Again, you have more wider margin for error. So if you move a line like this and it's a small painting, it will be very noticeable. But if it's a huge one, not so much, right? So yes, drawing will be harder. You may need to even project or very carefully use a grid method to get the proportions, because if you paint very large, it's just harder. But the upside of it is how forgiving it can be. Funny enough, the technique is harder, but it is forgiving because you can get a lot of things inaccurately and still it will look good, because people can't see the mistakes as much, as long as you get the overall shape and overall values and all of that correctly. So yeah, my thoughts on that. Let's see. You got it, freaking morons. Saint Yankee says, well, look up the Schminke JH Horadam wheel set. Oh, yeah. I was one of the fools that bought it anyway. Now it's 200 cheaper, but it looked really cool, to be honest with you. I considered getting it too at the time. Actually, let me check it out. Maybe I'll get one if it's cheaper. Or Schminke wheel. It was really huge at the time. It's like, oh, it's nice. It looks so good. Yeah, maybe I'll get it. I don't know. It looks super cool. We'll see. It's very gimmicky, but yeah. Shannon says, would love to watch a live with Steve. Yeah, we can definitely do that. I would be thrilled to do something like that. I love it, though. Best spilled watercolors. There you go. You made the right choice. That's what I think. Arthur says, I tried pre-wetting by spraying it with a spray bottle. I barely made it. Next time I think I'll try a brush for that again. It's a balanced thing. Too much water and the sky starts falling down. Interesting. So I would say if you're pre-wetting by spraying, I love that. You just need to do a lot of it. It's not enough to do like, you need more. You need like a lot. Okay, so maybe give it a try like that next time. Maybe you just didn't spray enough, because definitely a brush, like think about it in terms of quantities. I think one dip of the brush in the water and then just going over the paper will have more water than all the sprays you do. So just to put it into context, you need a lot of these spritzes to get it wet enough. So I would just try more to do that. But yeah, maybe just using a brush will work better for you. Let's see. Just to say, Rolf says, just to say Happy New Year to you and your followers here, me representing Norway. Thank you so much, Rolf. I hope you're doing well. I really appreciate it, and Happy New Year to you too. Peter, have you ever tried painting with Korean and Chinese watercolor brushes? Was wondering if you might have any brand recommendations. Very inspired of the work of Jung Hoon Sung, if you're familiar. Yes, of course. Yeah, I need to get something like that. A proper one, like Misolbu uses. I believe he's Korean. I'm sure he's Korean, actually. So yeah, I probably should look into that. That's actually a great idea, just to experiment with it. I'll write it down for myself. Korean especially, I would be curious, because I'm really unfamiliar with that market, using more water for sure. Leftovers, yes, great portraits. He's a master in water manipulation. Yeah, for sure. Elena is amazing, similar to Susan Tustain. So I don't know Susan Tustain. Let's see, Susan Tustain. There are so many artists I'm unfamiliar with. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah, that's really nice. I love that. A lot of flowers. By the way, I watched your stream about Wet and Wet yesterday. Very nice tips, even though the result I got was terrible. Yeah, so this live stream was super challenging. I know that the thing I demoed there, I was super challenged by it. So I did my best, but I had a really hard time as well. Just takes so much speed and attention, and maybe an even more accurate of a drawing, because I kind of winged that. But yeah, that took my attention and skills to the edge for sure. So yeah. Megan says, Arthur, if you only spray, there isn't enough water. Yeah, you need just a lot of water. But yeah, I think this is a good point to wrap up today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and all the questions. It's been great fun. We had a great guest, Steve, here as well. Great surprise. A lot of people I think I haven't seen in a while, right? We had a lot of people who are like finally made it to the live stream. So this is a great way to open 2022. And I hope we can do a lot more of these. Let me know, even if you're watching this afterwards or just now in the chat, just let me know. As always, if there's anything else you want me to talk about in a future video, future live stream. I'm always feeding off of your ideas. This is how I read minds. I actually read the comments, and just know that I'm reading like 99% of my comments. I don't respond to all of them just because there's a lot, but I read all of them. So I do read your recommendations, and whenever I see a good idea for a video, I immediately jot it down because I always look for new ideas. So yeah, thank you so much. If you can take a moment to like this stream as well, that will be greatly appreciated. We'll wrap it up now. Take care. I will talk to you again real soon.